You are 28 years old, and you have a good job, a decent apartment, and $32,417 in credit card debt that no one in your life knows about. Not your parents, not the best friend, not the person you've been dating for 8 months. You know the number because you looked at it once on a Tuesday night in March, and then you closed the tab and didn't look again for 11 weeks. This is not a story about someone who bought designer bags they couldn't afford or gambled their rent money away. This is a story about someone who paid for a friend's flight to a wedding because splitting it 4 ways was only $340, who put a car repair on a card because the checking account had $60 in it and payday was 5 days out, who ordered dinner instead of cooking twice a week for 2 years because after a 10-hour day, $18 for pad thai felt like the only decision-free moment available. None of these decisions alone would ruin anyone. That's the part nobody tells you. Debt like this doesn't arrive as a single bad choice. It arrives as 400 reasonable ones, each one small enough to justify, each one invisible next to the one before it, until you're the kind of person who has stopped opening banking apps because the number waiting inside them has become unbearable to see. You tell yourself it's temporary. You've been telling yourself that for 2 years and 4 months. Here is what $32,417 in credit card debt actually costs you, mechanically, if you only ever pay the minimum. At a 24.99% average APR, you'd pay it off in just under 31 years. You would pay more than $61,000 in interest alone, nearly double what you actually spent. 31 years. You would be 59 years old. That number is not a moral failure, it's arithmetic. And arithmetic, unlike shame, can be worked with. This is the story of how that number got there, and more importantly, how it stopped being the thing that ran your life. Rewind. You're 24, fresh out of college, and your first credit card arrives in the mail with a $2,000 limit and a letter that calls it a tool for building your future. You use it exactly like that. Gas, groceries, a security deposit you didn't have cash for. You pay it off every month. Then your lease renews. Rent up $180. Paycheck unchanged. You don't call anyone, don't make a budget, don't do anything you'd recognize as a decision. You just notice in the last week of a month that your checking account has $340 in it and 4 days before payday. You put groceries on the card. You pay most of it back next check, not all. $60 carries over. You don't notice the $60. 6 weeks later, a text from a college friend. Court's getting married in Charleston. Flights are $340 split 4 ways. You in? You say yes before you've checked your account, because saying no feels like admitting something you're not ready to admit. The flight goes on the card, too. By 25, the card has a balance that survives every payday. You start doing math you didn't used to do. Not can I afford this, but can I afford the minimum? The minimum on $8,000 is $180. You can afford $180. You tell yourself this means you're managing it. You are not managing it. On a 24.99% card, roughly $165 of that payment is interest. $15 touches what you actually borrowed. You could pay that minimum for a year and the number would barely move. Then, one ordinary Thursday, your dentist says the word root canal and your insurance says the word elective, and $2,100 goes on to a second card opened on the spot in the dentist's office because it came with 0% interest for 12 months. By 26, you have 2 cards and a system. Pay the minimums, don't add it up, keep moving. The 0% rate expires while you're not looking. It jumps to 26.99%, long enough unnoticed that $340 in new interest attaches itself to a bill you're still not opening. A third card follows at 27, store financing on a couch, interest-free for 6 months, signed at a register in the time the cashier asks if you want the extended warranty too. That's the last one. You are 28 years old, and you have 3 unopened folders and a number no one, including you, has said out loud.
The Tuesday in March starts like any other Tuesday. You're not planning to do this. You're paying a Netflix bill and some instinct, exhaustion maybe, or just Running out of room to keep not knowing makes you open a blank spreadsheet instead of closing the laptop. You pull up every account, not the app summaries, the actual statements, PDF by PDF, the ones you've been receiving unopened into a folder for months. You start typing numbers into cells. Card 1, $14,220. Card 2, $9,850, the one from the root canal. Card 3, $6,347. Store financing on the couch itself separately, $2,000, interest-free for now, but not forever. You add them. The spreadsheet gives you the number without asking if you're ready for it. $32,417. You sit with it for a long time. Long enough that the laptop screen dims and you have to move the mouse to wake it back up just to look at the number again, like it might have changed, like maybe you added wrong. You didn't add wrong. You close the laptop. You don't tell anyone that night. You don't tell anyone for 11 more weeks. This is the part of the story that matters most, and it's the part almost nobody shows, the gap between knowing and acting. You know the number now. Knowing didn't fix anything. If anything, knowing made it heavier because now it's real in a way it wasn't when it was just a bad feeling you could postpone. You go to work. You act normal. You have dinner with the person you've been dating and you don't mention it because saying it out loud feels like it would make you someone different in their eyes. Not the person with the good job and the decent apartment, but the person who let this happen. Except that's not what happened. A rent increase happened. A dental emergency happened. A wedding happened. An economy that pays flat while costs climb happened. You didn't gamble this away in Vegas. You survived 4 years on an income that stopped matching your life, and the card was the only shock absorber you had. 11 weeks after the spreadsheet, you tell one person, a friend, over coffee, almost by accident, because they mentioned their own number first. $18,000, theirs, said so casually you almost don't register it as a confession. You say yours back. Neither of you flinches. It's not smaller now. It's exactly the same $32,417 it was that Tuesday in March. But it's not a secret anymore. And a debt that isn't a secret is a debt you can actually plan against. The plan doesn't start with a dramatic gesture. It starts with the same spreadsheet, opened again, not to measure how bad it is this time, but to find the fastest way through it. You learn the term avalanche method. Pay minimums everywhere. Throw every spare dollar at the highest interest balance, the dental card, now sitting at 26.99%, until it's gone. Then roll that entire payment onto the next one. You make one phone call you've been avoiding for 2 years. You ask the oldest card company flatly if a lower rate is available. You expect no. 11 minutes on hold. They knock it from 24.99% to 19.99%. Nobody warned you that the hardest part of fixing this is often an 11-minute phone call, not a heroic act. You canceled 3 subscriptions you'd forgotten you had, $47 a month. You cook 4 nights instead of 2. You pick up freelance editing on weekends, $400 some months, $600 others, and none of it touches your checking account. It goes straight at the dental card. $650 a month becomes $1,100, some months $1,300. You don't tell the person you're dating for 3 more months. You find reasons, a bad week, a trip, a mood you don't want to disturb. Twice you almost say it and change the subject instead mid-sentence and hate yourself a little on the drive home both times. The third time, at a kitchen table, you just say the number before you talk yourself out of it again. Their first question isn't, how could you let this happen? It's, what's the payment schedule? You hadn't expected to be able to breathe out that fast. The dental card, 26.99%, $6,347 at its peak, hits zero 7 months after the spreadsheet. You read the $0.00 confirmation 3 times. That payment, all $340 of it, rolls onto the store card next.
14 months in, one balance remains, $11,200. The original card, the one that started as a letter about building your future. A payoff calculator gives you a date instead of a hope. April, 26 months out. You put it in your own calendar. Later, so does the person across the kitchen table without making it a thing. You are still not debt-free. $21,217 to go as of tonight, but there's a date next to it now instead of a fog, and a spreadsheet open on the counter instead of a folder you can't bring yourself to touch. The same laptop, the same kitchen table, a different Tuesday than the one that started.